patriarchy, no fascist USA. No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA.
Protect all women! 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 Stage crew, looks like we have clear skies, so we're in the clear right now. Again, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to make your voices heard. Louder! Louder! Out! Can you hear me better now? Yeah! Okay. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Siobhan Reedy, and I'm the lead organizer for this event today. I'm 21 years old. I'm a senior at UMass Amherst in political science, and as a young woman with hopes of working in government, it's really encouraging to see such a community like this come together and stand up against fascism and the efforts that have been taken by this government to rip away our rights. Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge the other organizers who had a huge hand in putting this together today. We have Madison Bozar, who's also a student. We have Elisa Veronica Wall, and Allison Rhinelander. We're all a group of young students who are under the age of 22 who are looking to make this world a better place. So it's been a really wonderful journey working with them on this. A few logistical things before we get started. Please make sure that you're wearing your mask at all times. If you are not wearing a mask, we do have to ask you to leave. Masks are required. If you don't have a mask, we have volunteers who are able to hand them out to you, and they also have hand sanitizer if you need any. You can find them wearing pink bandanas around their arms, or just kind of wearing a pink bandana. However, you can ask them questions, you can ask them if you need sanitizer, ask them if you need help. Please feel free to reach out. Now, I just want to say a few words before we get to our speakers, because this is a really emotional time for sorry about the volume. This is a really emotional time for so many people, and this kind of all seems to be a couple of weeks ago after the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I know that I speak for so many people when I say that that was a moment of pure terror. You felt like the last event us and fascism in this country is right before here it is. So as a result, I knew that the National Women's Organization is leading a nationwide movement to call attention to issues that matter to so many of us, and that we have to fight every single day against, and to protest the nomination of Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Now more than ever, we need young people and young generations to get out and make their voices heard, because this is our fight, this is our country, and they're trying to take it away from us. This is our future. This is our chance to make sure that we have the future that we want. Our mothers and great-grandmothers and aunts, everyone in our lives have been fighting for these causes for generations, and we have to make sure that our children don't have to fight the same battles. As a 21-year-old woman, I wanted to sign up for this event because I knew that this is a moment that will live in history, and we have a chance to decide how it's defined and how it's written. We have a chance to decide whether we'll sit back and let our democracy disappear, or whether we take control and decide that this is not what we want, then we're not going to allow the Trump administration to dictate who has equal rights and who doesn't. We have a chance to stand up and fight for what we believe in. We are here today to tell the temporary occupant of the White House that his sham of a nomination process is not supported by the American people. We're here to tell Coney Barrett that Roe v. Wade, Obergefell v. Hodges, and the ACA are settled law, and that she will not take that away from us. We're here to stand up for racial justice and human rights, for voting equality and the rule of law. Tell them that we refuse to be handmade, that we refuse to watch our country burn, and that we refuse to watch our Black and their rights and their lives. And we urge our community members to stand with us and make their voices heard on November 3rd. We're telling the world that we're standing here for human rights and will not let Donald Trump take that away from us. Our demands are few, but they are clear. We demand that the memory and legacy of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's lifelong fight for equal rights is properly honored by fulfilling her final wish that the nomination of her replacement be delayed until after Inauguration Day. We demand that the Roe Act be passed by the Massachusetts legislature immediately to codify reproductive rights in Massachusetts. We demand that every vote be counted, whether it was submitted in person or by mail, before a victor is announced in November. We demand that every single eligible person register to vote by October 24th. We urge them to vote with kindness, love, and humanity in mind. And we urge every single legislator to publicly stand with us against the Trump administration. Now I'd like to welcome our first speaker, a first-year journalism and political science major representing the feminist organization at Northeastern, Delaney Murray. How about now? Perfect. I really want to say this is actually the most beautiful group of people I've ever seen in my entire life. I come from a really small town, and to see this many people banding together in the name of feminism and women's rights, and immigrant rights, and Black Lives Matter, and LGBTQIA rights is so glorious, and I want to hear it from you. Like a little bit of a tidbit of why an 18-year-old is here with all of you, and I'm sure you're surrounded by people my age as well. And I want to kind of speak for all of us of why we care about these issues so much. I was largely raised by a widowed and single mother, and that taught me a lot about what women deal with every day. She was not only trying to raise 2 children and deal with multiple careers, but she had to break through the glass ceiling and deal with sexism every single day. Go mom! Seeing her struggles and also experiencing some of my own, I started to become really politically active, and from what I've heard, my dad was a Republican, and I think we'd be debating in his grave if it were up to him. So, later in my life, I was diagnosed with a medical condition that essentially I have to be on birth control until I go through menopause. And if I am not able to do that, I could face extreme medical risks or even fatality if I'm not treating those medical risks properly. And I want to explain that that risk that I'm facing is the same as almost every person in this crowd right now. The access to birth control, sexual education, gender education, procedures, STI testing, cancer treatment, safe abortion affects every single person here. And right now, as Siobhan mentioned, those rights that we have are at extreme risk. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how that looks. Right now, the Affordable Care Act and Roe v. Wade are on the table, which they never should be on the table. With Coney Barrett being a Supreme Court nominee, she has been nominated from the Trump administration, who has promised to strike down the Affordable Care Act and Roe v. Wade. If both of those are struck down, my access to my birth control, which essentially keeps me alive, could become hundreds of dollars, as we've seen with insulin, or it becomes completely inaccessible. And that is something that every woman here is dealing with right now. Abortions will forever be necessary, but they can become completely unsafe and something we're not able to access anymore, or they can become up to the state. And if you have anyone in a red state, in a pocket of red in a blue state, or in a swing state, they are subject to that risk at this very moment. So that's why it is so important for everyone to vote. And again, going off of what Siobhan said, it's a little scary what voting looks like right now. There's a lot of disinformation from the government itself,
and it's making a lot of people really afraid. I'm from Oregon, and we just came out as the best voting system in all of the United States, so So I'm feeling very grateful to be where I'm from, and I know Massachusetts has a really good system down as well, but I want to invite everyone to talk safely with everyone you're around to make sure that you're able to vote well, and vote safely with this coming election. Every state has different protocols that they're following, and the best way to find that information is to go into vote.org, or like I said, talk to your fellow neighbor. They're here to help you. I think we all are in the same boat when we say we just want to advocate for human rights here. And so talking to one another and figuring out best how to get your vote heard is nothing more can beat that. So I welcome everyone to do that today. And lastly, I think I speak for everyone when I say I want a woman of color to be the Vice President of the United States. To all of us, not only being in the presidential debates, but the fact that she is debating hand in hand with white men that have been debated with time and time again, and she's killing it, might I add. And I want to remind everyone that you could be on the fence about the Biden-Harris plan, because I think there is nothing wrong with questioning the policies of people that are supposed to be serving. However, in both of their careers, they have continuously shown a dedication to women's rights, LGBTQIA rights, and now they're showing a dedication to Black Lives' rights. And I think that that is something that we need to get in that office, and I would like to hear how many people agree with me. So I want to urge you all to vote and talk to one another, figure out your resources and what your voting plan will be. It is more important than ever. Talk to one another, and let's remember that these are public servants. They are not on a pedestal. We elect them. And the way to keep our democracy intact, because it's at risk right now, is to vote and is to show up like we are right now. And I just want to say, as an 18-year-old young woman, you guys are my inspiration, and I think we all keep fighting because of one another, and from our ancestors who've been fighting this fight a lot longer than we have, and for RBG, who sat in that seat and talked to us. So thank you all for coming out here, because the power in numbers is what's going to keep us going, and it's just beautiful. And so I thank you all, and keep fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Sorry about the volume. Thank you so much, Delaney. That was really wonderful. I now just want to introduce Stan Lawrence, who will be giving a statement from Refuse Fascism. Here's Stan.
Thank you, everybody. I hadn't planned on this, but I have to ask this. My name is Stan Lawrence. I'm speaking for Refuse Fascism, international organization with the single unifying demand: Trump heads out now. I'm also here to express my deep and profound anger and anguish at the unrelenting assault on women, their rights to safe, legal abortion and control over their own bodies that has taken new depths under this Trump-head regime. I am 72 years old. I remember what it was like before Roe v. Wade in assisting young women whose whole lives lay before them in finding a safe abortion. I remember the joy, hope, and aspiration when Roe v. Wade was passed. Women no longer stigmatized by a male-dominated society for wanting to control their own lives and bodies. Almost from that very moment, I have seen a vicious counter-assault from the right-wing Christian fundamentalist movement, the Catholic Church and the Mike Pence fascist evangelical biblical literalists, who would rule this country as a Christian theocracy, and who now have their advocates in control of the White House. That is one reason why we raise the slogan, Trump pants out now. The whole regime is illegitimate and it needs to go. Huge fascism fully endorses the call for today's event. The powerful mass-wearing march against fascism is the biggest threat to the rule of law that we have known. To make our opposition to the Trump agenda and the appointment of a new Supreme Court justice known. To make our voices heard and encourage everyone to get out and vote on November 3rd. To stand together in the march against injustice. But sisters and brothers, as Bob Dylan wrote so many years ago, let us not talk falsely now. The hour is growing late. Even as tens of thousands of us gather here in Washington, D.C. and throughout the country, we face a very dangerous moment. As we stand here, the Trump regime already is stealing this election. And so I come to you in solidarity, but also with an invitation and a challenge. Along the Trump along the subordination position is foundational to its rule. Along with virulent assault on the rights and lives of the LGBT community. Along with its brutal white supremacy, xenophobia, and its vitriolic America-first drumbeat, it has been waging an unrelenting war on the rule of law in this country. And now this fascist regime has unleashed a rolling coup to steal the upcoming elections. This includes packing not only the Supreme Court, but the federal judiciary on every level with Christian fascist theocratic ideologues. By having the Republican fascist controlled state legislatures bring us forward of lawsuits and laws trying to suppress the vote. We've already seen the lines of black and Latinx people waiting 12 hours to cast their votes. This regime has militarized the electoral process, calling them the white supremacist MAGA thugs like the Proud Boys to stand by. To stand by for what? We only need to look to Michigan to see for what. This is why Refuse Fascism has said, we need to vote. But Trump will not be stopped by this voting. We have to assemble now the plan and organize and stand together every day before the election to stop the Trump regime. That is my invitation and challenge today. Join with those who have already stepped forward and others who are doing so today. Whatever the issue that most painfully impacts you, that most urgently calls out to you, you need to bring that passion and energy to this fight. Join you with those frontline fighters for Black Lives, the immigrant rights fighters, the cause that brought women and men together to protest out the Supreme Court. If we are not in the streets day after day and sustain nonviolent protest now, there will be little stopping this regime from using the awful power at its disposal to steal this election and crush those who oppose it. But if we do come together in this great struggle, if we are successful in driving this regime to power, not only will it destroy people around the globe, but every movement for social justice will be that much stronger and better prepared to fight for the just world we all aspire to. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to introduce our next speaker, Toyelle Washington from Black Boston.
we're still currently in a pandemic, and we've been here to experience one of the biggest civil rights moments in history, being the Black Lives Matter movement. Now 2020 is also a very big year because it has made the 100th year anniversary since women got the right to vote. And so I see that everyone is applauding, and a few months ago, you know, everyone celebrated this progress. But I think that a lot of people forget 1920 is not the year that everyone got the right to vote, because black women did not get the right to vote until the 1960s when the Civil Rights Act was passed. And as we celebrated this progress, that was representative of all the progress celebrated was the erasure of women of color. And so today, I'm here to talk about that. A lot of people here identify as feminists. But I want y'all to make sure when you say you're a feminist, you put intersectional feminist. I want y'all to make sure that when we march, we're not just marching for reproductive rights and equal pay and maternal health. We are marching for our black and brown sisters as well. But beyond the performative activism, I'm going to tell y'all what that means. Protecting black women means extending your respect to black women that are not just in your family and friend groups and associates and women you're attracted to. It means that you're going to extend your respect to all black women. Protecting black women means being in positions of power and noticing there are no black women there. And so you're asking that question, where are they? Protecting black women means being in spaces and hearing micro and macroaggressions in your checking with. So I want y'all to repeat after me. I will protect black women. I will support black women. I will believe black women. Because religion is a woman's rights issue. LGBTQ rights is a woman's rights issue. Racism is a woman's rights issue, because these are all issues affecting women. And now that we said it out loud, when we march today, keep intersectionality at the back of your mind. Because feminism without intersectionality is white supremacy. Please follow Black Box in 2020 page on Instagram and Twitter so we can continue these conversations. And remember that today is not just a moment, it's a movement. Thank you.
All right, so next up we welcome our next speaker, Rosario Ubiera Minaya from Amplify Latinx.
could relate to. As a formerly undocumented immigrant from the Dominican Republic, English language learner, and proud Afro-Latina, and value in this country is not measured with the same stick as others. Don't see me and label me. They see me as less, as a burden, and worse, someone who is valued by others based on their rules. Too often, the past of my community and the issues we care deeply about is determined by individuals or groups that don't look or think like the communities our identities represent. This has historically resulted in profound disadvantage for communities of color. Disadvantages that I have personally experienced as a minority, as a woman, and as a black woman in the country. We all know we have an economic crisis. We are feeling it, compounded by a public health crisis, and continue to face racism on a personal and professional level. Institutional racism and disparities disproportionately affect us. The world we live in now, especially in the middle of this pandemic, is forcing us to center Black lives in our communities and across our country. As Latinx, as women, as mothers, as daughters, sisters, wives, discussing racial justice is no longer an option. We have to also address our own prejudices, rooted in racism, class, and colorism. Prejudice ingrained in our identities, passed on through our colonial heritage, white supremacy, and histories that still current are present. We must confront the reality. We see our black and brown students being failed by the educational system. Our children are in cages and families separated at the borders. Our Latinas and black women being forced into mass hysterectomy as part of a political agenda except in white supremacy. And misogyny is in the hands of ICE. We see generations of wealth in our communities disappearing in front of our eyes. Black and brown owned businesses are struggling to stay afloat. Our hospitals are full of our essential workers who are also our relatives and our friends, and in disproportionate numbers are also black and brown. While the skyrocketing housing costs, displacement, wealth gaps, and economic inequalities continue to ravage our communities. We know our reality, but what are we going to do about it? Accept it as a form? Or are we going to accept it as a form? Or are we going to change and shift gears to change the trajectory? I realized that those disadvantages were only going to be perpetuated by the lack of representation I saw every day. Look around you. See how many women of color are here today. We need more representation. I wanted to help change that. I started to strengthen my voice. I started to realize my power, extend my ground, and value my experiences and stories to start changing the narrative about my community. I have committed my personal and professional trajectory to social justice and equity by advocating for inclusivity and representation, dismantling oppressive systems, and empowering black and brown populations to become active participants in advancement of their communities. But we need all of you. We need your support. We need you to support black and brown communities. But I also realize I can do making sure I'm voting and that I'm using my voice as an Afro-Latinx leader are because I know what's at stake if our voices are not heard and our needs are not met. Our community has faced many challenges: socioeconomic disparities, inequalities, and health and racial challenges, which have only been exacerbated and brought to light by this crisis and the current political climate and the racial crisis. Too often, I see decisions being made by others that don't necessarily understand my history, heritage, and the hardships and the challenges those like me in my community have to face on a daily basis. These are difficult times, I know, but since when women, the matriarchs in our communities, have been intimidated by that? We are the pillars of our community. We must seize this moment of opportunity, an opportunity to evaluate our positions, have conversations, come up with ways to unite, like we are doing today. This is powerful. This is a time for growth for ourselves, our communities, and those around us. What will our future look like if we use our power to shape it? And how can we use this moment to lay the groundwork for sustained systemic change and advance our communities in the future? 33% of workers in fast-growing, low-paid jobs are Latinas. Latinas have the largest gender pay gap, earning only 53 cents for every dollar earned by a white man. 40% of the gig economy is made up of women. Women like all of us. As women, we are at the forefront of this fight. It is more important than ever to amplify our voices and take leadership. Let's lead by directing our energy and investing in ensuring that our youth have access to an equitable and quality education, that our small businesses have support, that there's a path for affordable housing and home ownership, that there is affordable care, and that we determine what happens with our own bodies. That there's leadership representations that look like us and value us. We must inspire collaboration and work together across geography, sectors, and backgrounds to achieve our common agenda. The status quo is no longer acceptable. We must be intentional when driving the change we want to see. Representation in every sector is vital to our advancement. As for being intentional, we must advocate for policy change. If we are willing to fight for democracy, we belong and we can make it better. This can be a time for growth for ourselves. The destiny of our communities is intertwined with our capacity for breaking systemic barriers and economic, health, education, and racial and ethnic inequality. We need to continue to advocate and understand that this pandemic is not over. This pandemic is rooted in the occupant of the White House. How are we making our Commonwealth better for the people that have been building it? Progress doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, and we all play a role. Representation matters in order to take action and create change. To my hermanos Latinx, we are a young community, and we are growing in numbers and in power. Taking action and modeling the change we want to see in our community is a must. Este trabajo es de todos. Let's amplify our voices. Let's grab him by the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so great. Thank you. All right, so please welcome our next speaker, who's the representative from the 1st Hampshire District, Representative Lindsay Sabadosa. we are. 4 years after that first march, we are back here. And we have to fulfill the promise that we made at that first march. Because we promised we were getting him out of office 4 years later. Now, I thought his presidency was going to be bad. But I did not realize the extent to which he was going to use that office to start a war with the American people. Because in these 4 years, class warfare has been real. As we watch the way this pandemic has struck the country, we see all of that clearly. We see women leaving the workforce because we're the ones who stay home with our kids when we're doing remote schooling. We're the ones who are responsible for taking care of elderly parents. And we're the ones getting sick at higher rates because we're performing essential jobs. And what do we get from our government in response? We get told we don't get to control our bodies. We get told that if we're black and brown, we don't count, or indigenous, we don't count in the same way. We get told that if we live in a state like Massachusetts that has been hit amongst the hardest in the country, we don't get state aid. Our schools don't need that. Our hospitals don't need PPE. We don't need these things. That's what our president is telling us right now. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Government is supposed to protect the people, not the profit of the president. And with this newest Supreme Court nominee, who will not only try to take away our ability to control our bodies, our ability to access healthcare, but will also go after our unions, will also go after our ability to earn a decent wage. We need to push back. We need to vote. So, by mail, early, or on November 3rd, who's showing up at the polls? And my friends, I have to tell you, 4 years later, here we are again. But we're going to be back over and over because no matter what happens on the election day, the fight doesn't end there. If you care about real change, it's not just showing up in parties, pushing the policy for the people, every single day of every day.
No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA. 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 No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA.
No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist. No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA.
patriarchy, no fascist USA. No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA. No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA. No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA.
No abortion ban, no patriarchy, no fascist USA.
Sisters and brothers, they have one more speaker. We'll be respectful for that. And hang here to make sure the right message is going.
One more round of applause for our allies. Can y'all hear me in the back? My name is Michelle. I am honored to serve this city as a Boston City Councilor. I am here today, not just as an elected official, but as someone who is tired and angry and ready for change. As a daughter of immigrants, I'm here as a mom. Every day I wake up, I think about my two boys who are 5 and 3. My 3-year-old had a birthday in mid-July, and I, as a parent, remember not just his birthday, but what it was meaning for my younger son is the day I found out I was pregnant with him. November 8th, 2016. I was going around stopping at polling places, reading voters, starting not to feel so well, you know what I mean? Went home, took the test, got the results, and I couldn't have been more excited that I was going to raise a baby in a world where they would only know women standing at the highest levels. Of course, I joined in the anger, the devastation the next day, dressed up as well. And for me and my family, we have counted this situation, this devastation, with every milestone in my son's life. As he has started to walk, as he has started to talk, as we went from counting weeks to months to years, we have watched our democracy decline and the future that my two boys have. Terrified what they're going to grow up for. My son's going to turn 4 next year. He is 3 years, 3 months, and that is enough of what we've been seeing at the federal level. Let me remind you all, there's a lot on the ballot. This is November 3rd. There's a lot on the ballot. Don't really vote for. We are going to make sure that Vice President Biden and Senator Harris are our next president and vice president in Congress. So let's remember, Black lives are on the ballot in November. Workers' rights are on the ballot. Immigrants' rights, immigrants, friends, and neighbors and loved ones are on the ballot. Housing justice is on the ballot. Equality for our LGBTQ friends and loved ones, and particularly ending the epidemic of the killing of Black trans women. Our democracy is on the ballot this November. Our climate and our world is on the ballot this November. We are going to take it all back. And the last thing I want to say to you all is, it is exhausting thinking about how much is at stake right now. I know it, I feel it, I see it in all your faces. We are mobilizing, and we have been mobilized for nearly 4 years now. So remember that resistance is also joy. We need to take care of ourselves in all of this. We need to lift up and show some love to each other. So I want us all to show some love to everyone here for showing up. Show some love to our organizers here. And most of all, remember that this is not just about heading off harm and disaster and catastrophe. We need to do that. We're going to do that. But this is most important.
future for our kids, for their kids, for every generation after them. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. We are going to make that difference together. So let's get out the vote. Let's go organize. Let's get the future we deserve, and let's get to work. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to all of our speakers. This is such an amazing opportunity to hear from wide ranges of people. People of getting everyone to vote in November. By October 24th.
Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump.
Fighting for generations. Whether you've been voting for decades, if you've only voted for a few years, or if this is the first election that you can vote in, make your vote count. Get out on November 3rd and make sure every single other person you know does too. This is our chance to make a difference and change this country for the better. We have a chance to vote for empathy and decency. We can't afford to squander that. At this point, we're going to start marching, so we're really excited. We have our volunteers kind of stationed along the route, and they will have hand sanitizer and masks if you need it. But please follow our speakers and our organizers and volunteers as they step this way. That's what I was
brightly for a temperature. Then we made a 22-karat gold, a little bit metal that doesn't tarnish or oxidize. Then we found out from our intelligence services the Nazis were already doing it. And we wanted to target them. show. You got a live show.